I became a father in 2020, then again in 2022, and then again in 2025. Becoming a father, that's the easy part. Becoming a dad, that's a title you earn 1 week at a time. If you're in week 1, I've been right where you are. You're probably asking the same questions I once did. Questions like, so am I a good dad yet? I remember that first week of fatherhood for me back in 2020. And near the end of that first week, I would lay in bed and just ask myself this question constantly. Am I a good dad? And the thing was, my son was born during the pandemic, June 2020 to be specific. And during that time, we couldn't go out. All we had was, just us, me, my wife, my son, and social media, our phones. And I remember I would constantly check out these dad accounts on social media just to see if I was on the right path, see if I was doing the right things, see if I was on pace to hit some of the milestones that I should be hitting, especially with the baby, and are we doing the right things? What's the next step? What could we do better? I've always been evaluated based on results in my life. Uh, my mom and dad always raised me to focus on the result, focus on the marks, right? Did you do well or didn't you do well? Am I a good dad or am I not a good dad? But 5 years later, looking back on it now, I think I was asking the wrong question. I think the question should have been, not if I'm a good dad or not, but am I a present dad? Because looking back on that first week, I don't remember it that vividly. And that makes me sad. The reason is I was on my phone a lot. I was constantly scrolling on my phone for whatever reason. Could be for entertainment, learning how to be a dad, comparing myself against other dads, and I don't think I made use of that time with my child that first week. And that first week only happens once, and I don't remember a lot of it. I was just forget if I was a good or bad dad. I just wasn't a present dad. I wasn't there. I was my mind was elsewhere, trying to escape, right? Trying to, you know, focus on this piece of technology, this phone in front of me, when I should have been focusing on my son. And yeah, I guess I had this like scoreboard in my head that I had to hit all these markers and I had to live up to a certain standard. That I actually had to be a good dad. I had to prove that to myself. That that's all I was thinking about, and I wasn't thinking about actually just playing with my son, just observing him, just being there with him, right? Um, yeah, I just I just didn't do that, and it's funny now. That same son, he's uh, he's 5 years older now, and the other day I was in bed with him, reading him a story, and then I grabbed my phone and was checking, I think, the Blue Jays score. I'm a Blue Jays fan, by the way, despite my hat. And yeah, he's like, "What, Dad? Why are you always on your phone?" And even 5 years later, I still have this bad habit of just constantly going on my phone, and it's a lot better now. I try to leave my phone outside the room. Um, but the Blue Jays aren't in the World Series they don't, they're not in the World Series every day, right? We're not like the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Dodgers, right? Uh, yeah, funny enough, last time they were in the World Series, I was 5 years old. But regardless, I shouldn't have been on my phone, and he called me out on it. And I've gotten a lot better at it. It's just, I guess he just reminded me that I just wasn't present, right? And the quicker you can stop being distracted when you're with your kids, and that can be week one. Your son won't remember it. They're only in week one, but it's the habits, right? It's forgetting if you're a good or bad dad. It's just trying to be a present dad. It's just trying to be dad. Forget about good or bad. Just be dad. Be your own version of dad. And that could be whatever you want it to be. But a dad has to be present, right? He has to be there. He has to be engaging. He has to be there for his child. And that's what I should have been doing that first week, not just scrolling my phone, doom scrolling, and whatever I was doing at the time. And I regret it because I don't remember a lot of the first week. It's funny. I'm a dad now, but I remember a lot how my dad made me feel, right? I didn't ever classify him as a good or bad dad. I didn't hold his mistakes against him. I looked past that, right? Because he's dad, right? Everything your dad does, everything he does, you magnify the good moments, right? And you suppress the bad moments because dad's dad, right? And I'll always remember when I was in elementary school, we lived quite away from my elementary school because we had just moved to the suburbs, but I still wanted to go to school in the city. So, and he still worked in the city, so me and him would commute every day to school, and we'd go home every day. And at lunch, I remember he always took time out of his busy day. He was a mechanic to spend lunch with me, to be present with me. And he'd warm it up at his shop, a meal my mom had prepared, and we would just sit in his car. I'd run up to his car and we would have a meal. And, we didn't say much. He was present. And, he'd ask me how I was doing. And, as a kid that time, you're not really in the mood to talk with your parents, right? But looking back on it now, we did that for at least a year and a bit. And I'll always remember that. I'll always remember the way he made me feel. How he took time out of his busy day, because he was a busy man. He worked early, he came home late, but he took the time out of his day to spend lunch with me. And I'll always remember that. I'll always remember how, not everybody's fortunate to have a dad, right? And I had one, and he was a good one. And that's my favorite memory of him. Just me and him at lunch, day in and day out, having a warm meal that my mom prepared. And that's how I'm going to judge if I'm a good or bad dad or not, right? Not if I'm good or bad. It's just, am I present, right? Like he was. Did I show up, and did I create memories like that where my son remembers it? Where he'll remember it for the rest of his life? Just like I remember that specific memory. Because that was special. That was special. And if you're in week one, you're asking the wrong question. Don't ask if you're good or bad. Ask if you were there. Ask if you were present that first week, right? That's how you gauge fatherhood is. Were you there? Did you observe? Did you assess? Did you struggle? Did you mess up your first diaper? Did you laugh about it? Did you get spit on? Did you get peed on, right? Like, get off the phone. Drop that habit now, right? And yeah, just be present with your kids. That's the ultimate goal. And yeah, fatherhood's a wild ride, isn't it? All right, so that concludes week 1 of becoming a dad. I've got 10 episodes. This was the last one. If you want to watch the rest of the episodes, I'll leave a playlist here at the end. But yeah, I've been a dad for 5 years, dad of 3. And I'm on paternity leave now with my 3rd baby. And I thought it'd be cool just to make these videos. I'm having a lot of fun doing them. Just reminiscing on every week of fatherhood as I look back. And I hope it can help a new dad out there. So that's week 1. That's the week you become a dad. And so now we're off to week 2. So I'll see you in the next batch of episodes.